topic po natin in this video lecture is about non-current. Okay, so non-current asset held for sale. Held for sale. Or masyado mahaba yan, no? Lalagyan na lang natin siya ng acronym. Non-current asset held for sale. So ito yung gagamitin po natin throughout the discussion. Okay po, to show that the account is called non-current asset held for sale. Ang reference accounting standard po natin dito si IFRS 5. Okay? So without further ado, ano ho ba ang non-current asset held for sale? O syempre, from the word itself, kaya tinawag po siya ng non-current asset held for sale. These are your non-current assets. Okay po, na ang purpose ay ibenta na. Okay po, in short, these are your non-current assets or disposal group. Yan. Okay po, pwede po kasi siyang individual. So these are your non-current assets or disposal group. Kaya po siya tinawag na disposal group kasi pwede pong many assets yun, or pwede po siyang isang segment, isang branch, and pwede po yun. Okay po, tapos ang purpose niyan is ibenta na. Okay, non-current asset held for sale din po ang tawag doon. So disposal group. Okay, pag non-current asset specific, pag marami, okay po, disposal group ang tawag. That yung kanila pong sole purpose, okay, ay yung kanilang carrying amount. Ibig sabihin po ng carrying amount, yan po yung benefit na marireceive po sana natin, or yun yung pakinabang ng isang asset. Okay, yung carrying amount, marirecover na lang siya, will be recovered through sale transaction. Okay, so through sale transaction rather than continuing use. So in short, okay po, itong mga non-current assets na to or disposal group hindi na gagamitin. Okay po, hindi na siya gagamitin, but rather yung benefit sana na marireceive natin kapag ginamit siya, okay, i-recover na lang siya through sale transaction, ibibenta na. Okay, kaya ang tawag sa kanya non-current assets held for sale. But the question here is, ano ho bang mga type of non-current assets ang pasok sa scope ng IFRS 5? Also, not all type of assets kasi ay pwede po siyang pwede nating i-apply yung accounting procedure po natin ng IFRS 5. Okay po, despite of them classified as held for sale. Like for example, may mga disposal group kasama doon, hindi lang pala non-current asset, may mga current assets sila, di ba? So mag-a-apply ba si IFRS 5? Okay po, well, they are still considered to be a held for sale, pero may limitation lang po regarding doon sa accounting procedure na gagamitin po natin. Mamaya di-discuss po natin yung mga yun. Okay? Pero ano po ba ang mga non-current assets that are within the scope of IFRS 5? So ano yung mga yun? Number 1, syempre pasok po dyan yung mga PPEs or property, plant, and equipment. Let's define ano ho ba si PPE. These are your fixed assets. Fixed assets. Okay po. Kaya siya tanong fixed, long term or meron siyang life more than 1 year na ang sole purpose niya is for administrative purposes. Admin purposes. Or ang intention niya is for the operation of the business. corporation. Ngayon, kapag bumili ka ng building, para saan yung building? Doon magtatrabaho yung mga office staff mo, yung mga management team mo. Ang tawag natin dun sa building na yun, PPE. Bumili ka ng furniture, ginamit for yung sa mga documents ng mga ng admin staff. PPE yun. Okay po. Ano pa? Number 2, yung mga tinatawag pa natin na investment property. Ano naman po si investment property? These are your fixed assets, or ang sabi ng accounting standard, these are actually the building or land or both. Yan. Na ang purpose naman po nito is either to earn rentals or to appreciate the value. Take note, ang pwede lang maging investment property, building, or land. Or, kung naka-attach si building sa land, tapos nirerentahan yung building and land, and both. Okay po? Anong purpose? To earn rentals or to appreciate the value. Okay po? Pero and then at some future time, ibibenta mo kasi siya pag nag-appreciate ng value. So, ang tawag natin doon, investment property. Okay? O then meron tayong dalawang model on how to subsequently measure investment property. Ano yun? Pwede po siyang cost model or pwede po siyang fair value model. Pero dito, sinabi po sa IFRS 5, those investment property that are measured using cost model only. Okay? Sa PPE, walang binanggit. Okay po. So, whether, dalawa po kasi yung possible naman natin na pwedeng gamitin. No? Sa PPE kasi pwede siya cost model or revaluation model naman. So, it's either of the two. Pag si PPE, gusto mo na siyang ibenta, pwede po siya, pasok po siya sa scope natin ng non-current asset held for sale. Number 3, ano pa? Yung mga tinatawag pa nating investment in associates. Okay po? Investment in subsidiaries and yung mga joint ventures. Ano po ang pinagkaiba nito mga to? O si investment in associates, yan po yung bumili ka ng equity shares ng isang corporation, then you own 20% up to 50%. Yan yung ownership mo. Pag investment in subsidiaries naman, yung ownership mo doon sa company na binili mo, na binilhan mo ng shares, ay more than 50%. Meron ka na kasi tinatawag po natin na control. Yan. Pag JV naman, dyan po yung itag ng joint venture. Okay po. May si company A at si company B, gumawa po sila ng corporation, si company C. O si company C, yun tinatawag po natin joint venture. Okay? So yung mga yan, these are also long-term assets to mga to. Pinipresent po natin sa balance sheet natin among non-current assets. So therefore, if we want them if we want to recover their carrying amounts or their benefits through sale, ang tawag na po natin sa kanila would be non-current assets held for sale. And lastly, yung ginatawag po natin ng mga intangible assets. O intangible assets, kaya tinawag po silang intangible assets because wala po silang, so no physical attributes. Pero long term po yung nature po nila. Long term yung life. Anong example nito? Yung mga patent, okay po, trademark, yung mga goodwill. Ayan. Kasama din po, no? Si goodwill, nagkakaroon tayo ng goodwill when we acquire investment in subsidiaries, di ba? Tapos, mas mataas yung fair value compared doon sa book value nung ating pong binilhan ng shares or ng investment. Ang difference nun would be the goodwill. Pag-aaralan yun sa AFAR. Pero for now, basta alam mo, si goodwill part siya ng intangible asset. Ano pa? Patent, trademark, yung mga yan. Okay po, yung mga common example po. Copyright, yan. Intangible asset po yung mga yan. O take note, These four are the common examples of non-current assets that are within the scope of the IFRS 5. Okay? So, ganyan po yung atin pong non-current assets held for sale. Balikan lang po natin yung classification po natin or yung nature. Yan. Yung nature ng non-current asset held for sale, sabi natin, marirecover na lang natin. Okay, the carrying amount is recovered through nature ng non-current asset held for sale. The carrying amount is recovered through sale transaction. Ito po yung talagang mahalaga, no? Yung carrying amount kasi, yan yung benefit sana na marireceive natin or yan yung pakinabang ng isang asset sa atin. Okay? At yung pakinabang na yon ay hindi na natin siya magagamit, but rather, ibibenta na lang natin yung pakinabang niya. Okay? So, ganun po ang nature ng non-current asset held for sale. But the question here is, okay po, how do we know na marirecover na siya through sale transaction? Meron po tayong mga indicators or tawag natin sa kanila conditions. Yan. Indicators or conditions na kailangan ma-meet in order for us to really know that the sole purpose or the intention of the company is to recover the carrying amount through sale transaction. Ano tong mga to? Una, okay, actually meron po tayo ditong dalawa po yun, no? Yung dalawang condition. Mamaya yung acronym sa pangalawa. Number 1, kailangan po yung non-current assets, okay po, or disposal group, okay, are available for immediate sale. Available for immediate sale. Meaning to say, kapag ang intention ng company, okay po, sabi nila, o sige, yung atin pong PPE, ibenta na natin. No? Huwag na natin gamitin. Okay po, kailan binanggit? Ngayong araw na to, sinabi ng management, no? Or ng president ng company. O, ibenta na natin yung PPE. Okay po. A question here is, nung binanggit ni president na ibibenta na ngayon yung PPE, available na ba siya kaagad? Okay, for immediate sale. What if meron ng gustong bumili? During that time pa lang, meron na available na ba siya for sale transaction? If the answer is yes, and therefore, na-meet nyo yung isang condition po natin. Na ang intention talaga ay ibenta. Sale transaction. To recover the carrying amount through sale transaction. So therefore, pwede na natin i-classify yung PPE as PPE held for sale. Parang gano'n. Okay po. Or meron tayong equipment. Yung gamit natin yung equipment for production. Oh. So, nare-recover natin yung carrying amount niya through use, okay, of the equipment. Pero sabi ng president, sige, yung PPE, palitan natin ng bago, no? Okay, hindi na siya akma doon sa bago nating mga products. So, ibenta na lang natin. Yan. The question here is, available ba siya kaagad for immediate sale? If the answer is yes, and therefore, pwede na siya maklasify as held for sale. So, ang gagawin natin, equipment held for sale. O paano kapag group of assets po yan? Group of assets yung ibibenta natin. Or isang, malimbawa, meron tayong planta, di ba? Yung planta, madaming equipment na nakalagay doon. Equipment, okay po, yung mga PPE, or may mga iba-ibang type of fixed assets na meron po tayo doon, no? So, ang question here is, what yung specific plant natin is ibibenta na natin na mayroong composition of different types of fixed asset din. Ang tawag natin sa kanila, disposal group. Okay po. So, if available na siya for immediate sale on its present condition and therefore, okay, na-meet niya po yung first condition. Okay? Yun po yung sinasabi lang. Sa first condition, tandaan mo lang, if it is available for immediate sale through its present condition, yun yung, ibig sabihin, pwede na po natin i-classify yung isang fixed asset into non-current asset held for sale. Take note, yung account po natin, ginagamitan natin ng term na held for sale. Okay? Ano pa yung pangalawang condition? Yung pangalawang condition naman po is kailangan po the sale is highly probable. Okay? Okay lang. Medyo kasi medyo vague yung term na highly probable. So to answer, paano ba natin masasabi na highly probable ang sale? Okay? Kailangan present po itong mga to. Okay, itong mga indications po natin. May acronym po tayo dito. Ito yung ating pong CAR 1. Yan. CAR 1. Okay? So, anong ibig sabihin ng CAR 1? C stands for kailangan mayroong commitment. Yan. Commitment. Sino? Ibig sabihin, si management is committed. Okay? To sell the asset. Nung sinabi ni President, benta na natin yung PPE. Dapat firm yung decision niya. Okay? Dapat firm yung intention ng management na ibenta na talaga si PPE. Ang tawag natin doon, commitment or committed. Yan. The management is committed to sell the asset. Number 2, A stands for active program. Yan. Pag sinabi po natin active program, ito po yung meron specific plans. Okay po, may plans ka dyan. Plans to locate a buyer. Okay. So, meron nang nakalatag na plano, no? Yung program na yan, na para makapaghanap po talaga ng bibili doon sa ating fixed asset. Usually, kapag mga fixed asset, particularly in land or building, meron tayong kinakausap na broker. Yan. Broker ang tawag doon sa mga maghahanap sa atin ng buyer. Kapag may gano'n, evidence siya na meron ng broker or meron tayong mga meron tayo sa marketing department na minamarket talaga itong mga ating mga non-current assets held for sale. So therefore, pwede siyang i-classify. Okay? O yung mga fixed asset natin or pwede natin masabi that the sale is highly probable. Okay, ano pa? Then, R stands for kailangan po meron yung price ay reasonable. Okay po. Reasonable selling price. So, hindi naman natin pwedeng ibenta yung pong fixed asset below. Okay po? Below fair value. Baka mamaya, sabi mo, benta na natin yung PPE. Okay po? Si management committed. No? Talagang intention ibenta na yung asset. Tapos meron naman active program to locate a buyer. Okay po? Kaso, ang problema, binibenta siya below fair value. Pag below fair value, ang intention mo talaga ay hindi ibenta. Tama? Ang intention mo talaga is i-donate yung PPE. So therefore, hindi siya pasok ngayon doon sa criteria na tinatawag natin the sale is highly probable. Kasi kung binibenta mo siya below fair value, ibig sabihin po nun is you don't really intended to sell the asset. But rather, you really just wanted to donate. Okay po, yung fixed asset. So hopefully naiintindihan nyo. No? So kailangan, reasonable pa din po yung selling price. Pag sinabi po natin reasonable yung selling price, kailangan dapat it should be somehow equal, yan, to its current fair value. Okay? Current fair value. Like for example, yung PPE, ang fair value niya is amounting to 1 million. Yan. So, dapat kapag magsiset tayo ng price, pwede siyang mas mataas ng konti or mas mababa ng konti, but it should be reasonable enough to say na at least it is within the fair value pa din ng asset. Paano kapag halimbawa yung 1 million, di ba? Tapos binenta mo siya ng 900,000, medyo reasonable pa naman yun. Okay po. 1 million, binenta mo siya ng 110,000 or reasonable pa din naman. Pero kung halimbawa extreme na, no? Like for example, 50% na yung decrease. Binenta mo siya ng 50,000, binenta mo na siya ng 25,000 or lower than that would be 10,000. O di, ang intention mo talaga is i-donate yung PPE. Okay? So, ganun po siya. So, dapat reasonable pa din yung selling price. Okay? And then, last, yung 1 stands there. It stands for, 1 year. Yan. So, ibig sabihin, the sale is expected to be completed within 1 year. Kaya ang acronym po natin, CAR1. Yan. So, CAR1. Sir, pwede ba na mabenta siya more than 1 year? Pwede naman. Okay po. Pwede po siyang mabenta more than 1 year. Pero take note, ano ba yung nag-cause ng delay? Okay, bakit di natin siya nabenta? Okay? So, kung sakali po, nag-extend, okay, yung asset, ibibenta pa din natin siya. Okay? Pwede pa din pong ma-classify yung held for sale if yung nag-cause ng delay ay hindi siya beyond, okay, beyond the control of the management. Kumbaga, si management committed naman siyang ibenta yung asset. Meron namang active program, no, to locate the buyer. Okay po. And yung selling price ay reasonable din naman. Pero hindi siya nabenta within 1 year, no? The question is, sino ba yung nag-cause ng delay? O, malay mo, kaya pala siya na-delay kasi nag-pandemic, no, di ba? O, dahil nag-pandemic, nag-lockdown, walang interest na yung mga company bumili ng mga assets, ng mga fixed asset. Okay? Kasi kailangan muna nilang mag-ipon or magbawas ng mga expenses. Pwede yun, di ba? Or pwede na kaya tayo nahihirapan mag-locate ng buyer because yung mga events, fortuitous events, okay po, binagyo. Okay, yung ating pong buyer na ina-expect nating bibili na ng asset ay biglang na bankrupt o yung mga yan. Okay, it's beyond the control of the management. So therefore, pwede pa din po natin kahit na mag-extend siya within kahit more than 1 year na po yung ating pong asset, pwede pa din po siya ma-classify as held for sale. Next, ano pa? Kailangan, pwede po siyang i-continue as held for sale if there is still a sufficient evidence. Okay po, that the entity remains committed. Okay po, committed na alin? To sell the asset. Okay, so gusto pa din talaga ng company na ibenta yung asset. So therefore, pwede po natin siyang ma-classify or pwede pa din po natin i-classify yung asset as held for sale kahit na more than 1 year na yung atin pong held for sale. So yan po yung mga cases or indications that the sale is highly probable. So therefore, okay po, pwede nating masabi na the carrying amount can be recovered through sale transaction rather than continuing use. So therefore, we can classify the asset as held for sale. O yan po yung nature, okay po, ng isang non-current asset held for sale. Napunta na tayo sa accounting procedure. Okay, so accounting procedure. Ano ba yung gagawin po natin? How to measure and how to present. Okay po. The non-current asset held for sale. So, ang accounting procedure po natin, yung initial measurement po nito, okay po, madali lang, no? Ang gagawin mo lang kasi, pipiliin mo lang kung sino yung mas mababa between the carrying amount, okay po, pero yung carrying amount on the date, okay po, date of reclassification. And yung date of reclassification, ito po yung date kung kailan sinabi ng management na ibebenta na yung mga fixed assets. Okay? Yun po yun. So, kailangan nating i-update yung carrying amount po niya during that time. So, like for example, meron kang PPE. Ginagamit mo na siya, meron siyang useful life of 10 years. Tapos, nagamit mo na siya for 2 years. May remaining life pa siya na 8 years, di ba? O yung carrying amount mo from the remaining life of 8 years, yun. Okay po? O like for example naman sir, ganito. Di ba kasi ang ginagawa natin, nag-recognize ng depreciation expense, di ba? O paano kapag in between? Okay? So, na-depreciate mo na siya for 2 years, pero sabi ng company, after 3 months, okay po, ng depreciation niya ng 2 years, after 3 months pa, doon lang nag-decide si management na ibenta na yung asset. So, ang gagawin mo, kailangan mong i-depreciate siya for 3 months pa para makuha mo yung kanyang current carrying amount. Okay? So, yun po yung tinatawag po natin na carrying amount on the date of reclassification. Saan natin siya i-compare? I-compare po natin yan sa fair value less cost to sell. Ang definition po niya, or yung formula po natin dyan, ito from the word itself. Gagawin mo lang yung fair value minus mo yung cost to sell. Yan po yun. Fair value less cost to sell. Yun po yung tawag. Okay? So, kung sino yung mas mababa sa kanila, yun yung atin pong magiging carrying amount or initial measurement for the non-current asset held for sale. Okay? So, kailan lang nagkakaroon ng issue? So, nagkakaroon lang po ng issue when the carrying amount is the carrying amount is greater than the fair value less cost to sell. Pag ganito po kasing scenario, ang pipiliin natin na measurement for the non-current asset held for sale initially would be the fair value less cost to sell. Tama? O, so ano nangyari? Yung carrying amount, ito yung benefit. Tama? Kung saan ang gagamitin mo siya, ito yung benefit na marireceive mo. Mas mababa na yung fair value less cost to sell mo. Yun yung gagamitin natin. So, ibig sabihin po kasi niyan, meron siyang indication of impairment. So, kailangan natin mag-recognize ng impairment loss. Okay? So, pag ganyan yung scenario, mas malaki si carrying amount compared kay fair value less cost to sell, ibig sabihin the asset is impaired. Okay? So, it means yung depreciation na nire-recognize po natin every year ay hindi sapat. Okay po? To reflect its true value. Okay? Its true benefit. Okay? So, kailangan natin mag-recognize ng impairment loss. So, madali lang kasi nga, kukunin mo na yung difference ng dalawa. So, yun yung impairment loss. Pero, take note, magkakaroon natin ng impairment loss if mas mababa si fair value less cost to sell. Paano naman sir kapag halimbawa yung carrying amount ay mas maliit naman compared kay fair value less cost to sell? So ibig sabihin po niyan, the asset is not impaired. Wala ba tayong gain sir? Hindi ba tayo mag-recognize ng gain? Hindi po. Okay po. Take note, under conservatism principle, we cannot recognize gain. Okay po. Without an exchange na nangyayari. Okay po. Dahil nag-increase lang yung value ng asset mo, hindi ka pwedeng mag-recognize ka agad-agad ng gain. Unless it is an investment. Okay po. Hindi naman investment madalas ang mga PPE, di ba? Yung mga fixed assets po natin. Okay po. So, wala po tayong gain. Take note, wala tayong babaguhin kasi since nasa libro naman natin is on its carrying amount na. Okay po. Yan na din yung gagamitin natin na initial measurement. So, ang gagawin mo lang, ililipat mo lang, papalitan mo lang yung pangalan ng asset. Instead na magiging equipment sana siya, di gagawin mo na lang siya equipment held for sale. Tapos tanggalin mo yung equipment account. Di ba? So, na-reflect mo na yung or i-measure natin yung asset or yung asset held for sale as on its carrying amount. Okay? So, nagkakaroon lang tayo ng issue kailan? If the carrying amount is greater than the fair value less cost to sell. Okay? Yan po yung atin pong initial measurement. Okay? So, to further understand, okay po, how it applies, the initial measurement, let's have our first illustrative example. On December 31, 2024, AP Brand Company classified one of its equipment as held for sale. Okay? So, binanggit, no? Ito, hindi mo na kailangan tignan, no? Kung may indication pa. Unless, medyo vague yung scenario, okay po. Kailangan present yung mga indications po natin, yung nabanggit po natin kanina. Ito. Okay? Pero kadalasan, ay hindi pala yan. Ito. Itong mga conditions yan. Kadalasan, okay po, may mga problem kasi na mababasa ka. Sasabihin niya, AP Brand Company classified one of its equipment as held for sale. Tapos binanggit niya sa dulo or kasunod niya. But the management is not committed or there is no active program to locate the buyer. So pag tinanong niya sa'yo, how much is the initial measurement? Automatic zero na kagad yun. Okay po. Kasi sinasabi ng problem sa'yo, hindi siya pasok doon sa criteria na tinatawag po natin that the sale is highly probable. Okay po. Pero kung silent ang problem regarding dun sa mga indications or conditions po natin, so ang assumption po natin na meet niya yung criteria ng pagiging highly probable ng sale transaction. Okay? So dito, silent naman yung problem. So we can assume that pasok. Okay po, sa condition po natin. The equipment had a cost of 400,000 and accumulated appreciation is 144,000 on that date. Take note, binanggit na niya mismo yung kung magkano yung cost and accumulated depreciation niya on that date, which is on December 31. So we can now compute yung carrying amount ng atin pong equipment or equipment ni AP Brand. Okay po, on December 31, 2024. Paano makuha yun? Gagawin mo lang. Diba? Paano ba makuha si carrying amount ng isang fixed asset? Diba? Cost less accumulated. Okay po, accumulated depreciation. Diba yan yung formula natin? Cost. Cost po yan, ha? So yung cost natin is 400,000. Accumulated depreciation natin is 144,000. So how much is that? So 400,000 minus 144. So we have 256,000. Okay? Ito yung carrying amount niya on the date na classify yung equipment as held for sale. But the question is, yan ba yung magiging initial measurement po natin? Yan ba yung value or amount or carrying amount ng atin pong held for sale? To answer that, ito yun. Okay po. Ang initial measurement natin, lower between the carrying amount and fair value less cost to sell. So, dahil nakuha na natin carrying amount, then try naman natin kunin yung kanilang fair value less cost to sell. Take note, may dalawa tayo cases. Okay? For case number 1, ano sabi? What amount should be reported as impairment loss? Okay po. Kailan ba nagkakaroon ng impairment loss? Nagkakaroon lang tayo niyan if si carrying amount ay mas malaki kay fair value less cost to sell. Okay? Kapag mas maliit yung carrying amount compared kay fair value less cost to sell, wala tayong impairment loss. Sabi niya dito, if the fair value of the equipment was estimated at 210 and the cost of disposal ay 10,000. So, ibig sabihin, for case number 1, yung fair value less cost to sell po natin ay, para mo kayo yun, 210 minus 10,000, which is equal to 200,000. O sino yung mas mababa? Kung i-compare natin siya kay carrying amount, okay po, ang mas mababa ay si fair value less cost to sell. Or in short, the carrying amount is greater than fair value less cost to sell. Tama ba? Okay po. Diba na-meet niya to? Parehas sila. Tama? So therefore, the asset is impaired. Meron tayong impairment loss. Magkano yung impairment loss natin? Gagawin mo lang, yung carrying amount, i-minus mo siya doon sa fair value less cost to sell. Ilan yung difference po nila? 56,000. So yung 56,000 na yan, ang tawag natin sa kanya, impairment loss. Okay? So impairment loss. So, ang gagawin po natin sa impairment loss, so to recognize or to reclassify yun pong atin pong asset as held for sale, ang journal entry po natin dyan, okay po, on December 31, 2024, debit ka ng equipment, okay po, held for sale. Tapos credit ka ng equipment. Okay po, para matanggal yung equipment natin. Pero wag mong kalimutan, tanggalin din yung kanyang accumulated depreciation. Okay? Equipment held for sale, magkano? 200,000. Kasi yun yung lower, tama? Ang accumulated depreciation natin, magkano? Magkano daw yung binanggit dito? Ayan, 144,000. And yung equipment natin, measured dyan at cost. Hindi naman nagbabago po yan lagi, di ba? Okay po. 400,000 at cost po lagi. Siyempre, hindi balance yan, di ba? Kasi nga po, yung asset natin ay impaired. So, meron pa tayong debit na impairment loss. Magkano? 56,000. Kapag tinotal mo yung ating debits, equal na po yan doon sa credits po natin. So, 200 plus 144,000 plus 56,000. So, we have 400,000. So, equal po siya. So, equal yung ating debits and credits. So, yan po yung ating initial measurement for case number 1. Case number 2. For case number 2, what amount should be reported as impairment loss pa din yung hinahanap? Okay po. If the fair value of the equipment was estimated to be at 270 and the cost of disposal ay 10,000. O magkano ba yung ating fair value less cost to sell for case number 2? Ang gagawin mo lang, 270 minus 10,000. So magkano to? 260,000. Uy, kung titignan po natin, 260 compared mo siya kay 256, sino mas mababa? 256. So in short, the carrying amount is lower than the fair value less cost to sell. May impairment loss ba tayo? The answer is wala. Okay po. So yung impairment loss po natin for number 2 ay 0. Okay? O yan na yung sagot natin for case number 2. Ang journal entry natin, pakita ko lang sa iyo bakit siya 0. Kasi ganito. Debit ka, equipment, held, lang, for sale. O magkano? Lower, tama? Between the carrying amount and fair value less cost to sell. So, ibig sabihin, ang ilalagay natin dito, 256,000. Ito yun. Tapos, debit tayo ng accumulated depreciation. Magkano? 144,000. And credit tayo ng equipment. Magkano? 400,000. Pansinin mo, yung debits natin ay equal yan sa credit natin. So, balance na po yung journal entry natin. Kaya, no impairment loss. Wala din tayong gain, ha? Huwag kang mag-recognize ng gain. Baka mamaya itanong sa'yo, how much is the gain? Okay po. To be recognized, ang sagot mo doon, 0. Wala pa din pong gain na i-recognize. Naiintindihan po? O yan po yung gagawin mo. Okay? To measure initially upon reclassification of the fixed asset as held for sale. Okay? O, so, ganyan lang po siya kadali, no? Kapag non-current asset held for sale. Okay po? Kung titignan mo, pag na-meet yung condition, reclassify tayo to fixed asset to held for sale. Tapos, yung initial measurement natin, lower between the carrying amount and fair value less cost to sell. Okay? Next scenario po natin dito is yung subsequent measurement. Okay po. Sir, possible ba na magkaroon ng subsequent measurement? Ang sabi mo kasi kanina doon, sa kanilang condition, para sabi lang natin that the sale is highly probable if 1 year. Diba? Sir, kung December 31 yan, okay po, na nag-decide, o dapat, December 31, 2025, nabenta na siya. Di ba? Kasi ang condition natin within 1 year. Kaya lang, sabi ko nga po sa inyo, take note, pwede pong mag-extend beyond 1 year if yung delay is caused beyond the control of the management and there is a sufficient evidence na committed pa din si management na ibenta. So in short, possible na more than 1 year okay po yung existence ng isang non-current asset held for sale. Okay po, despite of not selling the asset, okay po, within 1 year. At saka tignan mo, hindi lang naman ang decision kasi ng management, hindi lang naman yan always December 31. Mali mo, nag-decide siya April. O, di ba? April 30 o December 31, 2025 na. Reporting date na yan, di ba? O kailangan natin mag-remeasure ulit. Subsequent measurement kasi ang tawag natin doon sa pag-reporting period. O, so, pasok pa ba siya doon sa 1 year period? Yes. Kasi hindi pa siya 1 year as of December. Kasi April naman nag-decide. So, ibig sabihin, kailangan po natin siyang i-remeasure subsequently. So, ano po ba yung gagawin po natin for the subsequent measurement? Madali lang. Okay po? Kasi, ang gagawin mo sa subsequent measurement, kukumpitin mo lang yung kanyang new fair value less cost to sell. Anong date? Yung date niya on December 31. Okay, of this date. Or in short, on the reporting date. Okay? So, kukumpitin mo lang pala kung magkano yung fair value less cost to sell. But the question is, yun na ba yung gagamitin nating measurement? The answer is yes. Okay po. Yun na yung gagamitin po natin na remeasurement. Okay po. Or yung value niya, yung carrying amount dapat ng atin pong held for sale, eto na. Okay? So, parang example natin dito. Okay? Kanina, si AP Brand, di ba? Initially, we measured the asset on case number 1 based on the fair value less cost to sell na 200,000. Nung December 31, hindi pa nabenta. Okay po. Tapos, ang assumption natin doon ay yung nag-cause ng delay beyond the control of the management and may sufficient evidence that the company is still committed to sell the asset. So therefore, pwede pa din natin siya i-continue to classify the asset as held for sale. On December 31, nagbago yung fair value less cost to sell niya. Magkano na lang? So depende, no? Pwede siyang mas mataas or mas mababa. Okay? So ganito. Kapag yung new, okay po, fair value less cost to sell ay greater than the old fair value less cost to sell, okay? Ang gagawin po natin, dahil mas mataas siya, di ba? Meron po tayong i-recognize ngayon na gain on reversal. But the question is, yung gain ba sir, dito tayo nagkaroon ng gain? Yes. Dito lang tayo magkakaroon ng gain. Pero, yung gain na pwede natin i-recognize, meron po tayo limit. Ano yung limit natin? Ang limit natin is yung amount of impairment loss previously recognized. Okay? So sa example natin dito, di ba? Yung fair value less cost to sell is 200. O sabihin natin, nung December 31, 2025, okay, kasi 2024 to. December 31, 2025, ang fair value less cost to sell na niya ay naging 210,000. Okay po, 210,000. Magkano yung old natin? 200. Tumaas ba siya? Yes. Ilan yung increase? 10,000. So yung 10,000 na yan, the question is, i-recognize ba natin siya ng buo? To answer that, magkano ba yung ni-recognize natin na impairment loss? Ang ni-recognize natin na impairment loss ay 56,000. Tama? Yan yung limit. Yan yung maximum na pwede natin i-recognize na gain on reversal of impairment. So therefore, pwede natin i-recognize ng buo. What if ang scenario, 280,000 yung kanyang fair value less cost to sell? Magkano yung old? 200,000. Ilan yung difference? 80,000. O magkano lang yung pwede mong i-recognize? Ang pwede mo lang i-recognize is yung 56,000 lang. So, ito lang yung pwede mo. Kasi nga po, ito lang yung previously recognized na impairment loss. Nakuha. So, ganyan po siya kapag halimbawa, yung new fair value less cost to sell ay mas malaki compared kay old fair value less cost to sell. Paano, sir, kapag halimbawa naman, ang scenario natin ganito, yung sa case number 2, okay po, mineasure natin siya initially on its carrying amount, tama? 256. O tapos, tumaas yung fair value less cost to sell, no? Magkano yung itinaas? Sabihin natin, o magkano ba yung carrying amount niya? 256, no? Tumaas siya ng 280,000. O magkano natin siya initially measured? 256,000. O ilan yung difference? So, magkano ba yung difference yan? 280 minus 256. May difference na 24,000. So, yung 24,000 ba na yan, pwede natin i-recognize as gain? Meron ka bang ni-recognize na impairment loss? Wala, di ba? Ayan, no? Wala. So, therefore, wala kang gain. Kaya, ang measurement lang talaga natin ay 256. Okay? So, this gain only applies when we have impairment loss, okay, na ni-recognize previously. Okay? Kaya ang ginamit natin dito is old fair value less cost to sell. Dahil kapag mineasure po natin yan initially on its carrying amount, ay wala po tayong recognize na gain. Maliwanag po yun, ha? Eh, what if ganito naman yung scenario? Yung new fair value less cost to sell, okay, on the subsequent measurement period natin, ay mas mababa, okay po, compared doon sa old fair value less cost to sell or carrying amount. Pwede. Okay po. Ang meron po tayo dito ay additional impairment loss. Ayan. May limit ba tayo? Hindi. Wala po tayong limit. Kung magkano yung difference, yun na kagad yung additional impairment loss po natin. O sa scenario natin dito, ganito. 200 yung old, di ba? Naging 90,000 na lang siya. O compare mo siya sa 200, may difference na 10,000. Decrease. Tama? O yan yung i-recognize mo na impairment loss. O gawin natin extreme. 50,000 or 40. Yan. 40,000 siya. Ay, wait lang. Tama. 40,000 yung bago na fair value less cost to sell. Okay po, 200 yung previous, tama? O may difference na 60,000, nag-decrease. But the question is, sir, yan ba i-recognize natin as additional impairment loss? The answer is yes. O papansinin mo, sensitive tayo sa pag-recognize ng gain. Pero pagdating sa losses, hindi. Okay po. Tama? Okay, wala tayong limit kapag impairment loss. Okay? Paano, sir, kapag carrying amount naman? O ganito, carrying amount. Diba yung sa old carrying amount natin, 256 yung ginamit natin. Bumaba siya ng 90,000. O may difference na, magkano? 256 minus 90,000. So may difference na 166. Okay po, tama ba? 256. 256 ba yan? Saan? O, tama, 256. So 256 minus 90,000. So 166. O, yan yung decrease. Sir, mag-recognize pa tayo ng impairment loss? The answer is yes. O, pansinin mo, pwede. Allowed tayo mag-recognize ng impairment loss. Okay, kahit wala po tayong ni-recognize na impairment loss previously. Okay? So, kailan lang nag-a-apply yung limit? Kapag nag-recognize ng gain. Okay? Dapat ang scenario, meron kang previously recognized na impairment loss. O, so sa theory question, pwedeng lumabas, ano? True or false? Sasabihin niya doon, okay po, when the company, okay po, subsequently measured the non-current asset held for sale and the new fair value less cost to sell, okay, increased by 10,000 or increased, okay, from the previous amount initially measured. Okay po. Tapos sasabihin niya, the company may recognize gain on reversal of impairment loss. Okay? With the limit amounting to the previously recognized impairment loss. Ang sagot mo doon, true. Okay po. Now, kapag ang sinabi naman niya, the company will recognize additional impairment loss. Okay po. Only up to the impairment loss recognized previously. The answer is false na. Kasi, kapag additional impairment loss, wala tayong limit. Kailan nagkaroon ng limit? Kapag gain ang nire-recognize po natin. Okay? So, ganyan po yung scenario po natin. Subsequently, okay po. Okay, regarding sa non-current asset held for sale. To appreciate that, let's have yung second problem po natin. On April 30, pansinin mo, April, no? Pagod na ako, classified one of its equipment as held for sale and decided to sell the said equipment within 1 year. Pasok naman siya. Binanggit pa nga niya na within 1 year daw. On the same date, the equipment had a cost of 150. Take note. Okay, lagi niyo pong titignan yung data. On the same date, so April 30, okay, yung cost natin is 150,000. Sabi niyo dyan. And an estimated selling price of 75,000. So, meron siyang fair value na 75,000. The equipment was acquired on January 1, 2018. Okay? With a useful life of 10 years. It is estimated that the selling cost associated with the disposal of the machine will be 10,000. Ayan yung cost to sell. O minus natin yung 10,000. O magkano po yung ating fair value less cost to sell? That is 65,000. Tama. O nakuha na natin yung ating fair value less cost to sell. Ano na lang kulang? Carrying amount. Take note, yung 150,000, hindi yan yung carrying amount. Cost po yan. Diba? Yan yung binanggit to. Cost. Kailangan pa natin makuha yung accumulated depreciation. So to compute for the accumulated depreciation, okay, move natin ng konti ito. Okay. So, to get the carrying amount, cost of 150,000, okay, minus natin dito yung accumulated depreciation. O para makuha natin accumulated depreciation, ganito. Binanggit naman yung 10 years, tama? Pag solve ng problem, straight line method. Okay? So, 150,000, meron bang binanggit na salvage value? Wala naman, di ba? Okay po, so yan na yung gagamitin natin or yan yung depreciable amount. Okay po. Since titignan mo yung date of reclassification natin is April 30, hindi siya sakto, hindi siya every year. So, ang gagawin natin, much better na gamitin yung month, number of months instead of years. So, instead na gawin mo is 150 divided by 10, di ba? Gawin na lang natin siya in months. Okay po. Para makuha mo yun, 10 years times 12. Tama? So, 150 divided by, so ilan yung 10 times 12? 10 times 12, that's 120. Para makuha natin yung monthly depreciation expense. Mas madali po kasi siya. Okay? So, 150 divided by 120. So, meron tayong 1,250 na monthly depreciation. Tapos, i-multiply mo na lang yan doon sa number of months na nakalipas. O, para ma-compute mo yun, 2018 mo siya nabili. Tama? O, kailan yung last na nag-depreciate ka? Yun yung last year. December 31, 2021. Okay po? Kasi ang date natin today, o yung year natin today, ay 2022. Okay po? O, so, ang last na nag-depreciate tayo, December 31, 2021. Okay? Ilang years yon? From 2018. 2018, 19, 20, 21. That's 4 years. Tama? So, 4 years times 12. Tapos, plus mo dyan yung number of months from today. Okay po. So, January, March, April, o 4. January, February, March, April. So, 4. So, therefore, yung total months talaga natin for times 12 plus 4. So, meron tayong 52 months. So, 150 or 1,250 times 52. Ito na yung accumulated depreciation natin. So, meron tayo 65,000. Nakuha na natin yung atin pong accumulated depreciation. So, minus natin sa 150. So, meron tayong carrying amount na 85,000. O, kung ayaw mo naman po yun, gusto mo pa din gamitin yung years, no? Pwede naman. Kaya lang ganitong gagawin mo. 150, okay po, divide mo ng 10, magkano yung annual depreciation natin? That's 15,000, tama ba? 150 divided by 10, so 15,000. O, 4 years na nakalipas, so ang gagawin mo, 15 times 4. Ganito siya, 15K times 4, tapos meron kang 15K times 4 over 12. Ganyan siya. Okay? 15,000 times 4, 60,000. Tapos, 15,000 times 4 over 12. So, that's 5,000 o 65,000. Pares lang, di ba? O, unlike dito, mas madali. Kasi, ang ginawa natin, kinonvert natin yung number of years in months. Okay po. Kasi ang gagawin mo lang, 150,000. Actually, may shortcut yan. Pag na-compute mo na kagad to, times 52 over 120 ka na lang. O, ilan yan? 150 times 52 over 120. O, ilan? 65,000. O, di ba? Mas madali. Unlike to, dalawa yung ginagawa mo. O, ang ginawa natin, kinonvert lang natin siya into months. Same lang. Okay po. So, kahit saan dyan, yung gamitin mo, okay lang po. As long as makuha po natin yung carrying amount on the date na nire-classify yung asset into held for sale. Okay? So, ano yung measurement po natin? Ang initial measurement natin ay whichever is lower. So, sino mas mababa? Fair value less cost to sell. Magkano? 65,000. Meron ba tayong impairment loss? The answer is yes. The asset is impaired. Why? Because the carrying amount is greater than the fair value less cost to sell. Magkano yung impairment loss natin? Para makuha yon, o minus mo lang, 85,000 minus 65,000. So, yung impairment loss po natin ay 20,000. Okay? So, meron tayong impairment loss na 20,000. Okay po. So, impairment loss 20,000. Kaya ang entry natin on April 30, okay po, ang journal entry po natin ganito. Debit tayo ng equipment held for sale amounting to 65,000. Okay po, kasi yun yung mas mababa. Then, debit tayo ng accumulated depreciation. Ganito pala, no? Kailangan muna natin i-update yung atin po depreciation expense. Kasi yung last na recognition natin ng depreciation, December pa. Tama? O, so, i-recognize pa natin to. Okay po. Para lang makita mo yung actual, no? Na journal entry. Before ka mag-reclassification, recognize mo muna yung depreciation expense from 4 months. Okay, from January to April. So, debit ka ng depreciation expense, credit ka ng accumulated depreciation. Magkano? 5,000. Yung 4 months lang. Yan yung from December 31 last year up to April 30. Okay po. Naiintindihan mo yun, ha? To update lang yung carrying amount of the equipment. After nyan, ang accumulated depreciation na natin, 65 na. Okay? So, sakto na yung atin pong carrying amount. 85,000 na siya. Tapos, pwede na tayong mag-reclassification. Okay po, debit tayo ng equipment held for sale. Magkano? Lower, 65,000. Debit tayo ng accumulated depreciation. Magkano? Yung 65 na. Okay po, 65,000. And then, debit tayo ng impairment loss. Magkano? 20,000. And then last, credit tayo ng equipment at cost. Magkano? 150,000. Check natin if pantay yung ating debit credit plus 20,000. So, pantay. Okay, 150,000. Yan yung entry natin. Complete journal entry on April 30. O, syempre, yan yung initial measurement. Okay, subsequent measurement tayo. Kaya hindi pa natin nasagutan yung case number 1 or case number 2. Case number 1. Ano sabi niya? What amount should be recognized as gain on reversal, okay po, of impairment on December 31, 2022 if the estimated selling price of the equipment had increased to 90,000 with selling cost of 15,000. Okay, sabi niya sa problem, di ba? Ibebenta daw niya within 1 year. Pasok ba siya doon sa period natin of within 1 year? The answer is yes. Bakit? Kasi take note, nag-start tayo ng April. Okay po. So, on December 31, 2022, hindi pa po siya 1 year. So, therefore, pwede pa din po natin siyang i-subsequently measure. Kasi on December 31, hindi pa naman tapos yung 1 year period. So, non-current asset held for sale pa din po siya. Kaya, i-re-measure lang po natin yung ating pong non-current asset held for sale. So, sa case number 1, kukunin mo lang yung atin pong bagong fair value less cost to sell. Magkano ba yung bago nating fair value less cost to sell? Binanggit naman niya dito, nag-increase daw siya to 90,000. So, 90,000 na yung fair value. Ma-minus natin yung 15,000 ng cost to sell. So, magkano po ito? 90,000 minus 15,000. So, ibig sabihin, nag-increase siya to 75,000. Ilan yung previously recognized? Previous fair value less cost to sell natin. Ito yun, 65,000. Uy, nag-increase siya. Magkano yung increase? 75 minus 65, that's 10,000. Ito na ba yung gain na i-recognize natin? To answer that, ilan ba yung limit? Yan. Ito yun, no? Limit. Ang limit natin is the previously recognized impairment loss. O magkano ba yung impairment loss na na-recognize natin from the date na na-reclassify natin, which is April 30. That's 20,000. Ito yun. Okay po, 20,000. So, the question is, magkano yung i-measure natin as gain? 20,000 or 10,000? Take note, yung 20,000 is the limit. Okay po. Limit. Huwag mong isasagot si 20,000, no? Limit yan. Yan yung threshold. Pero magkano lang ba talaga yung actual gain? Yung actual gain is 10,000. So, hindi naman niya na-exceed yung limit natin. So, therefore, yung buong 10,000 na yan, yan na yung i-recognize natin as gain. Okay po? Gain on gain on reversal of the impairment. Okay? So, 10,000. Kaya ang entry natin dito, ganito. Debit ka ng equipment. Journal entry po natin. Journal entry natin on December 31, 2022. Okay, equipment held for sale. Then, credit tayo ng gain on reversal. Okay po, of impairment loss. Magkano? 10,000. O kapag tinanong sa'yo, how much is the carrying amount of the equipment held for sale? Ang sasagot mo ay 75,000. Okay po. Bakit 75,000? Kasi kung titignan mo, kung gagawa ka ng T-account, okay, magkano yung beginning balance natin ng equipment held for sale? Ang beginning balance natin, ito, 65,000. Tapos nag-debit ka ulit ng 10,000. So, ang ending balance natin, 75,000. Updated na ba yung carrying amount? The answer is yes. Okay? So, ganyan po yung case number 1. Case number 2. Sa case number 2, ano sabi niya dito? what amount should be recognized as gain on reversal? If the estimated selling price sa equipment had increased by, take note ha, ang ginamit yung term by, 30% with estimated selling cost of 15,000. Ang gagawin mo ganito. Yung fair value natin last year ay 75,000. Ito yun. Okay po. So, 75,000 plus 35. So, magkano yung bago nating fair value? 75 plus 35. So, meron tayong 110 na bago fair value. O minus natin yung cost to sell na 15,000. So, magkano yung ating fair value less cost to sell na bago? Minus 15,000. So, which is 95,000 lang. Or 95,000. So, ito na yung bago natin na fair value less cost to sell. Okay? O, so magkano kaya yung i-recognize natin gain on reversal? Okay po, magkano ba yung old natin? Yung previously recognized na fair value less cost to sell. Oh, that is actually amounting to 65,000. Tama, ito yun. 65,000. So, ilan yung difference? 95 minus 65. So, meron siyang 30,000 na difference. Oh, the question is, yung 30,000 ba na yan, yan yung recognize natin gain. Oh, take note, balikan mo ulit. Magkano yung limit? Ang limit natin ay 20,000. So, therefore, yung amount na i-recognize natin na gain ay 20,000 lang. Okay po. So, 20,000 yung ating i-recognize na gain. Okay? Kasi po, ito yung ating pong limit. O, so, entry natin, journal entry, on December 31, debit tayo ng equipment held for sale, then credit tayo ng gain on reversal amounting to 20,000. O, pag tinanong sa'yo, how much the carrying amount of the equipment held for sale? Ang isasagot mo, o wag si 95. Okay po. Kasi nga po, dahil may limit lang yung atin pong gain on sale, ang isasagot mo is actually yung carrying amount. Magkano yung carrying amount? 85,000. Ito yan. Yung carrying amount. Nakita mo ba? Ito. Yan. 85,000. Bakit, sir? O, tignan mo ha. Kung gagawa ka ng T-account, mas maganda. Magkano yung beginning balance natin? 65. O, plus 20. So, ending balance natin, 85,000. So, in short, sinundan pa din natin yung principle ng initial measurement. Tama? Na lower between carrying amount or fair value less cost to sell. So, sa subsequent measurement natin, kung papansinin mo, sino na mas mababa? Mas mababa na ngayon. Okay po. Compare mo siya sa carrying amount ng 85,000. Okay po. Mas mababa yung carrying amount natin. Okay po. So, ganyan yung scenario kapag, halimbawa, nag-exceed o tumaas ng more than the limit. Okay po. Of the previously recognized impairment loss. Okay? So, ganyan po siya.